Let's talk to Simon Dixon, founder of banktothefuture.com. Welcome to the programme. So, Mr. Dixon, I mean, how do you assess the situation of Cyprus now?
Well, what we're seeing is Cyprus, I guess, being an example for the rest of Europe and the rest of the world, for that matter, of what happens when you vest upon banks very powerful rights. And there's three things that the banks have at the moment. One, when you deposit your money with a bank, essentially they become the legal owner of your money, and we're seeing that now. They spend with it as they wish, mainly on speculation. And the third thing is the banks actually create money. So we're seeing the consequences of what happens when you allow banks to create more money than they actually have on deposit. And it's very real and very drastic for people that have their deposits with banks.
But I mean, is there any hope for recovery for Cyprus?
Well, what they're doing right now is they're trying to kick the can down the road a little bit further by paying off debt with more debt. Now, we call it bailouts, but really it's just other countries looking for a new market for their debt. And so what they need is to do a radical banking reform, change the banking system, the way that money is actually created and the rules of banking, and be an example for the world, actually, of what you can do when you build a sustainable system. So while it's a very harsh time, if they continue to solve the problem with the cause of the problem, there's no hope. But if they use this as an opportunity to make some drastic change in the banking system, then they can be an example for the world to follow.
I mean, day after day, European countries are falling victim to the European economic crisis. I mean, how much does this call into question the EU's integrity and of course, the trust of the people of Europe in the Eurozone currency?
Well, when you have, lots of European countries which are deeply dependent upon each other, and they're using each other's assets in order to prop up a broken banking system, it inevitably puts pressure on the relationship of the members of Europe. And what we're seeing right now is unsustainable loans between countries in order to prop up systems because they're inherently unstable. And the pressure that causes is really questions the integrity of Europe.
And so what do you think will happen? I mean, will there be a European disintegration?
I hope that there'll be a European disintegration in terms of currency. There's lots of troubles which have been caused from the European experiment. It looks like they're going to do anything to protect that system, and it looks like countries that Europe's going to become a big Germany, essentially. And organizations like the IMF are going to find new markets for their global banking system and debt, and it's all going to be wound up into one central bank by the end of this.
And what effects do you think an EU disintegration would have on the US economy?
Well, it would have very bad effects around the world. But we're in it's like coming off of drugs. We've been addicted to heroin through debt, and that's going to have consequences all round with relationships. But we need to ride out those, and we need to build a sustainable system. Otherwise, the consequences on the States and the rest of the world are going to be huge when we are in a system where we keep trying to solve debt with more debt.
Indeed. Simon Dixon, founder of banktothefuture.com from London. Thanks for your time there, sir.